Voor ons begin wil ek jou vinnig herinner aan al die potgooi-reekse wat ek by betrokke is. Daar's natuurlik klipkouers wat fokus op Afrikaanse entrepreneurs en impakmakers, boerpot wat fokus op die besigheid van landbou, Nostalgooi, my nuutste reeks waar ek gesels met legendes van die Afrikaanse vermaaklikheidsindustrie, mense soos David Kramer, Anton Goosen, Sandra Prinsloo ensovoorts. En dan my 2 nuwe potgooi-reekse, Biscrash wat die Engelse boetie is van klipkouers, en dan Pot of Gold wat gefokus is op die besigheid van mynbou. As jy in Pretoria is, kom maak gerus 'n draai hierop by ons plek in die R21 Corporate Park, genaamd Bouma at 21, waar ons 'n café het, ons het coworking space, ons hierdie raadsaal uit en my atelier is hier. So, as jy is, kom drink gerus 'n koffie en kom sê hallo.
Hierdie is 'n potgooi produksie deur nommer 7 Media.
Hierdie is potgooi episode 4 van 8 episodes van Agri SA se 2019 Kongres. Die tema is landbou, biotechnologie en nanotechnologie. Aan die woord is Rajan Gajaria en hy is die uitvoerende vise-president Besigheidsplatforms van Corteva Agriscience. Lekker luister.
Well, good morning everybody. Yeah. It's truly been an inspirational morning for me. It's been fascinating just sitting there and listening to the folks, and it's been amazing to have a candid conversation about the challenges and then the strong messages about hope. So it's just been fascinating. And my journey with Ag started in trains in Mumbai 26 years ago. So I do believe in hope. I do believe in hope because that's the only way the world can move forward. But one of the reasons which I'm truly optimistic is there is one thing that we have found from our research, which is there is one very strong trait which is there in farmers all around the world. I've had the privilege of working with farmers in 140 countries, 40 very closely. But there is one trait which is there in the DNA of all farmers around the world. Do you know what that is? That's optimism. Without optimism in farmers, nothing can happen. So before we go ahead, please give a big round of applause to all the farmers around the world because of which we are even here. So it's my privilege to talk a bit about the fourth industrial revolution and how we are getting ready to get started. And I'm going to share a few principles which apply to the fourth industrial revolution in ag as we see it across the globe. But I'm going to need your help to see how does that actually reflect when it comes to South Africa. But before we go there, I just wanted to quickly introduce Corteva. And like the Springboks, we are looking to create a winning team. So I'm going to share one quick introduction about who Corteva is and all the very best to the South African team here, so go Boks, I guess. So that's a good place to start. Corteva, we are about a $15 billion business globally. We are based in the US, and we were actually just recently born. We are like a startup. We came together with the legacy Pioneer business, Pioneer Panar, which is a big part of the footprint here in South Africa, the DuPont crop protection business, and the Dow AgroSciences business. And all those three businesses came together, and we are the only company which is of US origin now that has innovation on crop protection, seeds, and the digital part of the business. We've got a strong presence across the globe. For Africa, which is one of the regions in which we operate, South Africa is our headquarters here. I'm joined by a strong Corteva team here. Our business here in Africa is led by our president, Pradeep Bajwa, who's here with us. So again, it is a commitment to Africa. It's a commitment to South Africa. And we'll talk a bit more about how this commitment is coming together when we talk about innovation moving forward. When we started Corteva, there was a lot of conversation on what is the type of company that you're trying to create. It's not every day that you get a chance of creating a $15 billion startup just to get started from scratch. And we spent a lot of time talking about what is the purpose. What is it that we are trying to accomplish? And you'll see a lot of words here which are familiar. Truly, it is about our customers, who is you, the farmers, those who produce. So we are trying to play a small role in ensuring how do we enrich lives of those who produce. But the part which was new to us was the reflection around those who consume. And I'm going to talk a bit more about the consumer and the role they play in the industrial revolution that we are embarking on. And most importantly, there has been a lot of conversation this morning about sustainability, water, environment. How do we ensure progress for generations to come? So that's really what Corteva is all about. As we talk about the moving on to the fourth industrial revolution, I'm going to really quickly share three pillars on which this whole revolution is going to be built. The first one is consumer. It's 3 C's. The first C is consumer. Why does it start with that? Well, we heard the Honorable Minister speak about exports and how things are going to happen. Agriculture is truly a global supply chain. Yes, food security is a big part of what we do, but truly exports are a big part of how agriculture is seen. There is a part of the world where there is demand that is growing, and there is part of the world where you could have production surplus and you need to supply. So we truly need to understand, what do consumers around the world think about agriculture? And I'm here to tell you that we've got a trust issue. The trust issue, actually, in my case, starts at home. The madam at my house, she would still say, Rajan, we need to buy organic milk because it is better for our kids. And I'm saying, who told you that? It is only more expensive. It's not necessarily better. I'm not saying organic is bad, but it's not always better just because it's more expensive. So trust issues with consumers start at home. And you can look at your favorite aunt who is going to tell you about how pesticides are bad or GMO is not necessarily the right technology and science is not necessarily in the forefront. So when you talk about consumers, all the innovation which is going to happen in the next digital generation that we are talking about, the fourth industrial revolution, has got to be aimed at creating trust with the consumer. Let me give you a few examples. I think the technologies on track and trace, to understand where food is coming from, they are going to continue to ramp up because people want to know, where did my food get produced? When it comes to the crop protection side of the business, all the technologies that we work on are focused on making sure that it is much better from an environmental perspective than existing products we have. Why do I say that? Because at the end of the day, if we cannot prove that we are better for the environment, and not only about yield and crops, but truly better for the environment, consumers are not going to trust us. At Corteva, we have had the privilege of getting 6 green chemistry awards presented by the President of the United States for the technologies that we bring to the marketplace. And that's the same technologies that we are bringing to farmers here in South Africa. So I'll give you one example, is a product called Rinskor. Rinskor, the use rate is 10 grams per hectare. So 10 grams is you can put one big coin on your hand. And that's the amount of product that goes over one whole hectare. So why is that important? I think it is important so that we can continue to innovate to the point that consumers, we can look them in the eye and we can have the conversation that, you know what, we are doing what is right by the farming community and by the consumers. It is not only about telling, but it is also about listening. We've got a strong emphasis on listening to consumers. There is a lot of people who might have different opinions. So we are open to listening. But the first pillar of the next generation of technologies that we are working on comes from ensuring that we have trust with the consumers. Okay, let me pause here for a second. Obviously, my accent is slightly different than you are used to. Can you guys understand what I'm saying? A quick nod? Good, that's a good sign. Yeah. No, I didn't want to wait till the end and find out that nobody understood anything. So this is a good time to pause and just do a quicker check. So that's good. So 3 C's, 1 C, consumer trust. Are we good? Yeah. The second one, which I want to talk about, again, very simple. There's a lot of talk about lot of technologies. There can be technologies in the biotech space. Corteva has a big, strong emphasis on biotechnology. There is talk about digitization. There is crop protection. There is nanotechnology, big data, unmanned vehicles. There is all this technology which is out there. But to me, the mega trend is convergence. How do all those technologies come together on your farm to help you run a better operation? And I think the convergence of those technologies has got to be a key part of how the next generation is going to come in. Technology, for the sake of technology, is cool, but it's not a solution. Technology which can be used and be harnessed one farm at a time is essentially what it is going to need. So when we talk about technology and talking about Corteva, so imagine this scenario. I pull into work every morning, you get into work, and by the time the day is done and you leave, Corteva globally has spent 50 million rand of R&D every day. We invest $50 million of rand every day on a day-to-day basis. So you come into the morning, you leave in the evening, and 50 million rand has been spent. Why is that? Because we truly believe that innovation is the only answer for sustainable progress for us to move forward. We don't take these investments lightly. And in ag, as you well know, some of these returns are 8 years, 10 years out. So we've got to start harnessing technology for not only understanding the problems today, but to start predicting problems which can happen 8, 10 years out so that you can work on them. So let me give you an example. Targeted crop protection. About half the business that Corteva has is crop protection chemicals. Actually, the whole industry is about $100 billion industry between seed and crop protection, and half of that industry is crop protection. So if you think that the crop protection industry is not going to change, we might have a challenge, because in the near future, we see targeted crop protection using geospatial satellites coming and telling you exactly where there is disease on a farm, where there is weed, where there could be insect outbreak, and then you can have drones which will have the chemistry to go and specifically solve the problem that you have. And we've got to start thinking of those things yesterday so that we are ready for tomorrow. But it's not only about satellite imaging. It's not only about crop protection. It's not only about drones. It's how do all those things come together so that we can come to you as a farmer and get that convergence of technology to provide a solution. So this, coupled with the consumer trust that we are getting ready to do, is the second pillar on which we believe the fourth industrial revolution is going to be built. It is around convergence. The other thing which I want to talk about is there has been a lot of talk about digital. So what's the difference between digital and digitization? They're actually two very different things. Growing up in Mumbai, how were we tested in school? Well, we were tested because you had to memorize things. Knowledge was the power. So you would go to school and you would have to, in the third grade, we would have to have multiples of 16 times 10. You needed to know that in the third grade. Or you needed to understand how the laws of physics, or what was Newton's second law of physics. You had to memorize all that. I don't know how it was in South Africa, but it was tough growing up in India. A lot of smart people, all working very hard, and you had to memorize so that you could get the knowledge. Today, the whole education system has changed. My son, I find it difficult for him even to sit down and use the pencil, to the point that you made, Jan, about technology, because knowledge is right here. all you need to do is you need to search and you will get the answer. So what is the difference between knowledge today and knowledge 20 years ago? Knowledge today is about connecting dots. It is about identifying patterns. It is about understanding what information you have and asking the so what question. That's what digitization is. Digitization is trying to get all the knowledge that you have of your farm easily available so that you don't spend time on collecting the knowledge, but you spend the time on asking the so what question. So that difference in terms of knowledge and the solutions which we are looking for is what digitization is going to help farmers with. So what is digital? Digital is a tool, just like biotechnology is a tool, nanotechnology is a tool, big data is a tool, crop protection is a tool. There are some digital tools which are available for you to use. But the difference between digitization and digital is huge. And the next generation of our industrial revolution is going to be based on convergence of technology, of which one key enabler is going to be digitization. So that's the second. The third message which I want to leave with you, the third C. The first one was consumer trust. The second was convergence of technology. The third is collaboration. I heard it this morning and the Honorable Minister did a fantastic job of articulating partnerships, collaborations. No one company is going to be able to provide all those answers to you. Only companies that have the humility of admitting that we need to learn and work with each other are going to be a part of the solution. Collaborations is the way to solve a problem. I'll give you another example. Growing up in Mumbai in early 70s, there was a big challenge with polio. Polio was rampant in India. And you couldn't leave your house without seeing a poster which would show a father, a mother, a newborn baby getting a vaccination. And in the background, there was this child who had a crutch who suffered polio. The government, the industry, the doctors, the not-for-profits, everybody collaborated together to solve a problem which at that point of time was thought to be unsolvable. I remember there were people who were not educated who would come and talk to my mother and say, this seems so wrong. The doctor is asking us to actually put the disease in my child who is healthy. Why should I do that? Think about it. The challenges that we face today, and I think, Dan, you did a good job of listing them, but they are not unsurmountable with hope and with collaboration. So we are all in this together, whether it is farmers, whether it is the whole conversation which I really enjoyed listening to on inclusivity between and partnerships between the public enterprises and private companies like ours. So we are all in this together, and collaborations is going to be the third pillar of the industrial revolution as we know it is now. And revolution is a strong word. The reality is it is evolution, and whether you like it or not, it's already happening. It is a part of it. It's not a choice that we make that I want to participate in it or not. The choice you make is how aggressively do you want to adopt the change? Where on the change curve do you want to be? Because the reality is that the world as we know it in ag is changing for the better, and all of us are already a part of it. I just wanted to end with a commitment on behalf of Corteva, on behalf of our leadership team here, and on behalf of all the global resources that we have the privilege to have. We are here to partner with you. We are here so that you can do what is right by your customers, the consumer. You can do it right by being sustainable with the environment. We can work together so that we can have a convergence of technology so that they can provide solutions to your farm, and we will collaborate with you as needed. So thank you so very much and have a wonderful rest of the afternoon. Bye for now.
As jy gehou het van die potgooi, deel dit asseblief met vriende en familie. Of besoek ons webwerf by www.agrisa.co.za.